6 years ago, Lena Rourke vanished without a trace. No goodbye. No ransom demand. No wreckage or body. One day, she walked out of the research annex on New Series Station, and the next she simply wasn't there. Her terminal went dead. Her room untouched. Her name quietly scrubbed from shift rosters within a week. Officially, they called it an off-world casualty. Unofficially, everyone knew that was a lie. I knew it better than anyone. Lena wasn't just a colleague. She was my partner, on the job, and everywhere else. Brilliant and a linguist. Stubborn. The kind of person who challenged admirals without blinking and then stayed up all night translating alien dialects for fun. She didn't disappear. She was taken. I spent 6 years trying to prove it. 6 years burning favors, chasing rumors across border systems, reading redacted files until my eyes bled. Every lead died the same way, sealed, classified, erased. And every time I got close to something real, someone reminded me I was still wearing a civilian badge. Then the war changed everything. The coalition, frontier conflict dragged half the galaxy into chaos. Borders shifted. Black sites surfaced. Entire military camps appeared in places that hadn't existed on any map the year before. That's when I found her. Not by name. Not by face. By a single phrase buried inside a stolen logistics manifest. Asset L6. NON human compatible. Do not release. L6. Lena disappeared 6 years ago. And 6 years ago, the military started Project L Series 1. The camp that wasn't there. The camp didn't exist on any official star chart. It orbited a dead moon in the Kairos expanse, far enough from trade lanes that no one stumbled onto it by accident. No beacon. No traffic. Just a dull gray installation wrapped in signal-scrambling fields. Breaking in wasn't heroic. It was desperate. I piggybacked on a supply shuttle under false clearance, hid in a radiation-shielded compartment, and prayed the biometric sweep wouldn't catch the irregularity in my heart rate. When the hatch opened, the smell hit me first, sterile metal layered with something older. Chemical restraint compounds. Recycled air. Military camps always smelled like fear, even when they tried to hide it. I spent the first day mapping corridors, stealing glances at personnel files, watching the way guards avoided certain levels. Level 7 was the one they wouldn't even joke about. That's where the L series were kept. I knew the moment I reached the holding wing that I was close. The walls were thicker. The lights dimmer. The silence heavier. And every door had redundant locks, not to keep people out, but to keep something in. Her cell was the last one on the left. I recognized her voice before I saw her face. She was speaking in a language that didn't exist in any database, layered harmonics threaded with pauses that felt intentional. A language built not just for sound, but for resonance. Lena had always loved impossible languages. My hand shook as I overrode the lock. The door slid open. And there she was. What they turned her into. Lena looked thinner. Pale. Her dark hair cut short in a way she would have hated. But her eyes were unmistakably hers. Sharp. Furious. Alive. She stared at me like I was a hallucination. Mark, she said, switching to standard. Her voice cracked on my name. You're not real. I am, I said, forcing my legs to move. Lena, I've been looking for you for 6 years. She laughed. Once, sharp and broken. Then you shouldn't have come. I noticed the restraints then. Not just cuffs, but neural dampeners embedded at her temples. A faint glow pulsed in time with her heartbeat. Every breath she took was measured, monitored, controlled. What did they do to you? I whispered. Her expression darkened. They listened. She told me everything in fragments as alarms hummed quietly around us. The military hadn't abducted her by mistake. They'd intercepted a transmission, one she'd been translating unofficially. An alien signal buried in background radiation, structured like language, but operating on frequencies humans couldn't naturally perceive. Lena could. Her brain had always been different, hypersensitive to pattern recognition. When she tuned into the signal, something responded. Something ancient. Something watching. Project L-Series was born overnight. They didn't want to understand it, she said. They wanted to weaponize me. They used her as a living interface, forcing her mind into resonance with non-human intelligences they barely comprehended. Every successful contact made her more valuable. Every refusal earned her another adjustment. They say I'm not human-compatible anymore, she said quietly. That's why they can't release me. I swallowed hard. We're leaving. Now. Her eyes softened. You don't understand, Mark. If I go, it goes with me. 3. The thing that watches through her. The alarm started before I could ask what she meant. Red lights flooded the corridor. Automated turrets unfolded from the ceiling. I slammed the override panel and dragged Lena toward the exit, ripping dampeners free with a hiss of ozone and pain-bitten gasps. She staggered, clutching her head. Stop. You're destabilizing the link. I don't care, I said. I'm not leaving you here. That's when the air changed. Not pressure. Not temperature. Attention. Something noticed us. The walls vibrated with a low harmonic hum, and Lena froze mid-step. Her eyes went unfocused, pupils dilating as if she were staring into something infinitely far away. It's awake, she whispered. The lights shattered. Every system in the wing went dark except her restraints, which flared with alien glyphs I'd never seen before. The camp's AI screamed warnings in overlapping languages before cutting out entirely. Through Lena, something spoke. Not aloud. Not exactly. Why is the bond being broken? The voice wasn't male or female. It wasn't angry. It was curious. Lena sank to her knees, gasping. Mark, listen to me. This entity, it's not hostile. It's a sentinel. A relic intelligence left behind to observe emerging species. Then why lock you up? I demanded. Because I'm the first human it responded to, she said. And the military realized I could ask it questions. The camp shook as external defenses powered up. And what did they ask? I said. Her voice trembled. How to win wars. 4. Humanity's biggest lie. We didn't fight our way out. We were let go. The entity, whatever it was, reached through Lena and disabled the camp systems with effortless precision. Doors opened. Weapons powered down. Shuttles unlocked themselves. Not as an attack. As a decision. The subject is not property. The voice echoed through every corridor. The bond is mutual. No one tried to stop us. As we fled the moon, the camp's orbit decayed. Engines cut. Stabilizers failed. The installation fell silently into the gravity well below, breaking apart like a discarded shell. Lena watched it burn. They'll call it an accident, she said. They always do. We jumped systems twice before stopping, hiding in a civilian repair dock on the edge of Coalition space. Only then did she finally sleep, exhausted in a way that went deeper than the body. I sat beside her, afraid to blink. When she woke, she told me the rest. The Sentinel intelligence, called Astria by the researchers, was millions of years old. It didn't conquer. It observed. It waited to see which species learned restraint before power. Humanity had failed the first test. They wanted to use Astria to predict enemy movements, Lena said. To destabilize stars. To end wars before they began. And Astria agreed? I asked. She shook her head. It agreed to listen. That's worse. It learned us. 5. Choosing what comes next. The coalition wanted Lena back within a week. Then the frontier. Then groups that didn't even officially exist. Offers. Threats. Promises of amnesty. Lena ignored them all. They think I'm the weapon, she said. I'm not. I'm the question. Astria still spoke through her sometimes, not in commands, but in reflections. It asked about art, about love, about why humans protected stories more fiercely than territory. I watched Lena change, not into something alien, but into something larger. She was still herself, still stubborn, still impossibly brave. But now she carried the weight of an entire species' reflection. One night, she told me she had to leave. Astria's cycle is ending, she said softly. It's time for it to decide whether humanity is worth further observation. And you're the deciding factor? I asked. She nodded. It trusts me. The fear I'd buried for 6 years surged back. Then don't go alone. She smiled. The real one. The one I thought I'd lost forever. I wasn't planning to. 6. The proper ending. We disappeared together. Not erased. Not hidden. We became unfindable. The official story says Lena Rourke died when a black site facility collapsed due to experimental power failure. I'm listed as collateral. But somewhere beyond mapped space, we travel between listening posts older than humanity's first fire. Lena speaks. Astria listens. And through her, it watches us. Not as conquerors. Not as soldiers. But as a species still capable of choosing something better. 6 years ago, she vanished. Today, she's helping decide whether humanity deserves to be seen at all. And for the first time in a long time, I think we might be worth it. Astria's final listening post orbited a red dwarf so old its light barely touched the void. The structure wasn't metal or stone. It was grown. Curved layers of translucent matter folded around a hollow core that hummed with deep, patient rhythm. Even standing inside it, I couldn't tell where the station ended and space began. Lena stood at the center. Not restrained. Not monitored. Chosen. This is where it decides, she said quietly. Not today. Not tomorrow. But soon. I watched the light ripple through the walls as Astria shifted its awareness. It wasn't a single mind. It was a continuity, an intelligence that carried records of civilizations long gone. Species that reached the stars too fast. Species that chose domination over understanding. Species that asked the wrong questions. Why do you stay with her? Astria asked. The words echoed directly inside my skull, softer than thought, but heavier than gravity. Because I love her, I said. And because she shouldn't have to carry this alone. There was a long pause. Humans often abandon those who change. I know, I replied. That's one of our worst traits. Lena glanced back at me, eyes bright with unshed tears. And our best, Astria said. Rare. But not extinct. Images flooded the chamber. Wars, yes, but also nurses holding dying strangers. Pilots refusing orders. Scientists burning their own research to prevent misuse. Ordinary humans choosing sacrifice when no one was watching. Astria wasn't judging us by our power. It was judging us by our restraint. 8. The choice humanity never saw. They'll never know this happened, I said. They don't need to, Lena replied. That's not why it matters. Astria's presence intensified, the station resonating as if the star itself were listening. The military sought to use me to end war. And you could, Lena said. But you won't. Because if you solve violence for us, we'll never learn why we reach for it. Silence. Then, you have suffered. Yes, she said. At human hands, but also because of them. And I'm still here. I realized then that Lena wasn't speaking for humanity. She was showing Astria what humanity looked like when stripped of titles, uniforms, and command chains. One person, choosing care over control. The bond will yendi, Astria said at last. My breath caught. The observation will continue. Lena staggered as the weight inside her eased, not gone, but distant, like a tide pulling back. They passed, she whispered. Not perfectly, but enough. Astria did not grant us technology. It did not share weapons or secrets. It left behind only one gift.
Time.
9. What the galaxy believed. Across known space, analysts argued for years about the sudden collapse of multiple black site programs. Admirals vanished. Budgets evaporated. Entire research divisions quietly disbanded. No explanation ever fit. The war burned itself out, not through victory, but exhaustion. Without predictive miracles or impossible weapons, humanity was forced to negotiate, to compromise, to live with unfinished endings. Historians would later call it the stalled era. They would never know how close it came to being the last one. Lena and I lived quietly on the edges of explored space. She never lost what Astria gave her, just the burden of carrying it alone. Sometimes she still listened to the background hum of the universe, smiling faintly as if catching an old melody. Sometimes she cried. I stayed. Always. 10. The proper ending. Years later, as we watched a new generation of colony ships launch, slow, cautious, deliberately unarmed, Lena took my hand. Do you ever wish I'd never disappeared? She asked. I thought of the camp, the chains, the fear, the cost. Yes, I said honestly. Every day. She nodded. Me too. Then she leaned her head against my shoulder, eyes on the stars. But if I hadn't, we wouldn't be here. And they wouldn't have another chance. Far away, beyond charts and borders, Astria continued to listen. Not waiting for perfection. Just watching to see if, when given power again, humanity would remember what it chose when no one was forcing it. 6 years ago, she vanished. I found her locked in a military camp. And in the end, she helped unlock something far more dangerous. Our future.